Again, I am adding 5 multiple choice questions. So it's just 5 multiple choice, and it is 1 free response, okay? Now, this test is probably going to take me a little bit longer to grade than some of your other tests. So cut me some slack. Did you guys see that I did get you guys your grades? Now, I've graded the other quiz. I just haven't sent you guys the reports, but they're graded. So if you guys saw, the grades are done for your quizzes. You guys are, for the most part, all caught up, with the exception of your homework assignment, right? Okay, so let me just take roll really quickly. All right. Absent, 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 absent. Okay. So for the international students, the ones that are listening, guess what? You're going to be taking the test with me. I'm going to be giving you the test on an evening because the scores for my international students have been raising, and some of you aren't that good. So I have a feeling that there's some impropriety going on. So if you're watching this as an international student, you're going to be taking the test probably tomorrow evening with me. So be prepared for that. You will have a completely separate exam. All right. That being said, so that for my regular students, just giving you guys a heads up, you will be emailed, or I will put the link directly into the chat. Okay. All right. So that being said, all right. This is a review day. There is no review session tonight, okay? Just because I have other plans that I need to attend to. So it's one of the few nights where I'm not going to be offering a evening session. So it is fair game. Anything that you guys want to discuss, we can discuss. You let me know. Yes, Nick.
So whenever we're initializing an array inside of a for loop or an object array, why do we have new superclass and then we have our parameters in it? Why are we setting that equal to that?
Because when you're
Like what?
initializing, so more than likely you're probably talking about this. Okay. Because what's happening is, as I've said before,
Yeah.
when you are declaring an object array, it's a 2-step initialization process. Okay. You have created an array that will hold objects. You have initialized it with a value of 10 objects. You haven't initialized the objects yet. They need to still have constructors. You still need to say quiz. So basically, quiz P equals new quiz 9. Okay. In order to finish making an object, you have to use the constructor. If we're looking at this, have we used the constructor at all yet?
No.
No. So what we do is we start off with each object individually, starting at 0 in the array, and we use the constructor. Now this one just takes a number. It takes an integer in its parameters, okay? I just went ahead and I chose a random number. That's going to be an int, and that's just the number it's going to be initialized with. So every time inside, so you have to use the constructor. You have to initialize the object. For example, if it was just an int array, let's say if it was just this, int array w equals new int 10, okay? I've got 10 int value. I've got 10 integer variables, right? Do they have values yet?
No.
Same thing applies with an object. But the difference is when I'm making an object, w index 0 equals 9. That's an initialization for a primitive. This would be the initialization for an object. Okay. Now remember, again, string is a special one. String t equals new string hello. Technically, that is what you're doing every time that you create a string. But it's a special type of or object where you can literally just do this.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else?
Could you go over like a example of how or why we would use a getter and a setter, like how you would use it in an actual program, for what purpose?
Right. For example, so right here I have a get ID. Okay. I need to get an ID of an object. Okay. Now, most of the time you'll have actual identifiers. So for example, let's assume that you are Benny, you are a part of Sierra Canyon's student class. We have created a student object for you. You have variables of name, grade level, a student ID number, and stuff like that. Okay. I need to get a list of all the students that that are ninth graders. Dot get ID equals 9. Okay. I won't have direct access to change the variable itself, but I can get it. Okay. Most of the time you won't have the option to set it as well. Okay. You won't have a chance to set it as well. And the reason why is because that's usually like a super administrator access. For example, like Ben, if you had the option, if you had direct access to the variable, it'd be really easy to just go ahead and make yourself a senior at 14 years old. Okay. You can't do that. So they have to basically give you access to that. Right. So that's where a getter would be involved. Again, we never specifically ever mention direct. We will never try to call directly on the variable names themselves. You will always use a getter, always. Now, in terms of the tester class, I can tell you right now, you're going to be building a super class. You're not going to be doing a tester class. Okay. So don't even worry about that for your test, Benny. But again, at the same time, like I will say something, make getters and make mutators and accessors for all global variables. Okay. So that's what you should be worried about. Okay.
Mr. Marty,
Yeah.
is there a difference between the object array and an array list?
Do not worry about array lists.
Okay.
If you're looking at array lists, I'm not even going over those. That's a whole new ball game. Don't even look at it. Why are you looking at your book or what?
Yeah, I looked at it and I was kind of confused because I thought you mentioned it once.
No, all I said is an array is a list of items. There is something called an array list. Don't go there yet.
Okay.
That's like probably a month from now. That'll be your Christmas present, Nick. Yay, the knowledge of array lists. Kennedy, I have a question. Is there any way you could sigh a little louder? All right. Anybody else? Guys, it's fair game. Take advantage. We got the time. Because I can tell you this, and I'll start to cut you off, Kenny. Your class did really, really, really well on the quizzes. Okay? Very, very well. Okay? So you guys, I actually feel very, very, very comfortable with this class at this point. But that doesn't mean you should get cocky. Continue asking questions.
So for the test, is it just going to be methods and arrays? Is that pretty much it?
So obviously, because it's a language, Kennedy, everything is fair game. But for this exam, what I think I'm more than likely going to be focusing on is I'm going to be focusing on arrays, initialization of arrays, okay? Cycling through arrays, every index value, creation of the superclass, global variables, okay? And with this, remember, all global variables are private. Constructors, okay? The concept of overloading, methods, mutators and accessors, and toStrings. And all of you, for the most part, have been pretty good at that. Yeah. Oh, also real quick, before I get to you, Ben, Uma in the other class, she asked a great question. She said, when would I know to use the enhanced for loop as opposed to the regular for loop? Okay. So that's actually a very great question. If it's an empty array and you have to initialize it, and then it's asking you to do stuff, stick with the for loop. If it's already an array of data that is created, for example, on your quiz, you were given an array that was passed into the method, which means that array already exists and it has information in it. If it's a pre-existing array, go ahead and use the enhanced for loop. Okay, initialization, regular for loop. Pre-existing pre-existing array with data in it, enhanced for loop. Because then you don't have to worry about initialization or anything like that. You can just read the data and manipulate it. Okay, Tokes, go for it.
Yeah, my question is actually related to that. So as far as like the enhanced for loop goes, you said that like using the example that's on the screen, like the like iterator or whatever, or
Yeah.
it doesn't iterate. It just starts
It
at
just starts
the
at
first
the-
index.
Exactly. It just starts, in this case, it would take the place of the first objects. And that's what I put here is A is basically in the first iteration is the same thing as saying X index 0.
Right.
Yeah.
So how is it like just trying to get the logic behind it? Is it iterating through the array through the other for loop?
What?
Like you said that it doesn't iterate through the array.
It is iterating through the array. But
Okay.
the way that it's going through it is it starts with it one object at a time. So basically it will encapsulate the entire object represented as A. Go through everything in the loop, and when it's done, move on to the second object. Now I will encapsulate everything in B, cycle everything through, then again, et cetera, et cetera.
So couldn't you, like, not saying it's good practice, but theoretically, couldn't you just use a enhanced for loop and initialize an array that way?
Nope, because what did I just say? You can't use an enhanced for loop to initialize an array.
Okay.
Okay, I said that's the first thing I said when I taught you guys that. It's why do you think they also call it, look at this right here, a read-only loop. You cannot use it to initialize anything. If you do, major penalty. Okay?
Gotcha.
Mr. Marty.
Yes.
So in an array, or object arrays, what's actually being stored in each indice? I know it's an object, but what is that object? Like, what is it?
Basically, I mean, it's so hard to really describe. It's because object, you have to understand that it's like, basically imagine that it's a box called object, and everything that is here, basically a clone of all of this, is being stored in it.
Okay.
So remember when we make string X equals whatever, right? So for example, this string, basically what we have done is we have created a clone of string and called it T, and it will inherit all the methods in the string class. Essentially what you're doing, the minute that you're doing this, you are basically saying, okay, X index 0 is basically a clone of the quiz class. Go ahead and manipulate it. Okay, basically what quiz is, when we do this, imagine like a cookie cutter. Okay, and what we're doing is we're cookie cutting shapes into the dough. I can take the cookies that I make, I can stretch them out. I can make some chocolate chip. I can make some sugar cookies. I can make some raisin. What have I not altered? The cookie cutter itself, which would be basically the superclass. I've taken my clones, which inherit all the, and if I don't want to touch them, they will inherit all the properties of the cookie cutter. If I just do boom, 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 I've got 4 clones. But then when I want to start tailoring them and making them my own, which is what I did with this, okay? When I made each one has a number, I've made this one has this one has this alteration, this one has this alteration, okay? You're only affecting the clones. You're not touching this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that clears it up.
Okay, just think of it as like you're making cookie cutters. Okay, the superclass is the cookie cutter. Okay, the cookies are the clones. And if you mess up, roll the dough all over again, slam it down, cookie cut again.
So then my follow-up question to that is, why is it only going to print like the 2 string with whatever you've initialized into
So
it?
again, so A So if I don't have a toString method, it's just going to print out the memory address, where it is on your computer located at that specific RAM. Okay. Now, the toString is a special method that they have told Java, if it is available and they try to print out the object, just check to see if there is a toString. Okay. And that's why you don't have to write. That's why, for example, if I just print it out, oops, sorry. Can't type today. If I just print it out, X index J, okay, which would be the new name. And then I hit, where's my error? I'm just gonna delete this for loop for right now, okay? I run this, okay? Name equal name, yada, 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 okay? And the reason why it's name is because plus name, I just set all the names to null. If I did R, name R, okay? Notice that I'm not calling on, and don't do this, do not do toString. Don't do that, okay? Again, it's a special method, Nick, that's just built in, it will look for it. And if it doesn't exist,
Then it just returns the RAM spot.
there you go. Boom. Okay. Yes, Benny.
If you give us the tester class, how do we know what variables we have to put in our constructor?
So for
Is it
example, I would
variable?
tell you, so for example, in this case right here, let's say that I gave you just this, okay? Let's just say I gave you this, all right? And then I told you that this prints out everything. This actually prints out num7, okay, and the number, okay? Let's say that I said that, so that means that that actually works, okay? So this right here is a 7. It's safe to assume that this is what type of a variable?
Int.
An integer, okay? This is safe to assume since I'm printing out the actual array. So first of all, this has rules. Does this mean we have a constructor, Benny?
Yes.
Unless I tell you, and this may happen, unless I actually tell you, there's also 2 other global variables that are, obviously the constructor's only doing 1. It's only 1. So unless you are told otherwise, it is a safe assumption that at least for right now, based on the information given, they only create 1 private int variable as a global variable. This tells me that I need a toString. Okay. Does this, based on the information, do I need to put a setter?
No.
Do I need to put a getter?
No.
No. Okay. I theoretically, for some of you, because I showed you guys, because this number you can either use the variable or you can use the get num and create a getter. You could go under that, but that's really reaching. Okay. So in this case, it's easy to just go off of what's there, Benny. Okay. If it's not there, it's safe to ask a question.
If we can't go to Zoom, should we email you on our phone?
Yeah. Yeah. Or try to, yeah, that's true. You could do that. Okay. So yeah. And then what I could do is I could see if I have the ability to unmute you. Okay. Because that way, if I see, because what I can do is, hold on, mute. Yeah.
I think there's a setting where you can ask us to unmute and it'll just pop
Yeah,
up.
but the minute he goes off, I will check. There should be I should have the ability to be able to unmute you. So that way, if you guys have a question, I'm going to be looking at your guys' screen. You can just raise your hand and I can call on you. And just,
Okay.
you know what I mean? And that way I can just unmute you really quickly and you don't have to change or do anything. You know what I mean?
Okay, thank you.
So I'll look into that, Benny, because that'll be useful for the other class as well.
Can't we also just all join on our phone?
What's that?
Can't we all just join on our phone? So that way.
No. Don't make my life too difficult.
You said from the print statement there with X at value j. You said you have a toString. How do you know that?
Okay, if we take a look, I put the comment code that I would put a comment code that this actually prints num and this.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't-
because it works correctly, you can then say, so if I said this, something like that, some random numbers, you know there's no toString there, okay? So be mindful of that. That means there's no toString. But because I did that, it means, okay, yeah, this is legit. It's actually printing. That means there's a toString number there. You see funky letters is no good. You see regular letters is good. I saw that, Ashton. All right, anybody else? Isis, how are you feeling, girl?
Good.
Okay. Again, guys, so right now I would do some coding bat problems also, but I would stick to like levels 1 and 2 because those will help you with your methodology and thinking and stuff like that. Those are safe to practice a few of those, okay?
Okay, so you're giving us authorization to do coding back questions?
We can't hear you.
No, we can't hear you. You're unmuted, but we can't hear you.
Okay, yeah, what was that, Benny? I'm giving you permission, yes, to go ahead and,
Okay.
okay, yes. Now, don't do 14 of them, okay?
I'll do like 10. I'm going to go over 10.
That's fine. It's okay.
Can we?
As you guys can see, like I write my own questions. I just took a couple for the quiz. More than likely, these will just only be practice for you. I just want you to slow down because I may assign some for homework.
Can we go over overloading a method?
Yeah, so for example, I did that here, okay? Somebody asked that. Who asked that question?
Armand?
Who?
Armand?
Armand? Okay, so right here, all right? So I have two methods right here. Same name, right? Okay, but this one spits back the ID times 3. This one takes a parameter, okay, and spits back the user ID times whatever is passed to it. Overloading happens where you have the same name and different parameters. Here, you have the same name, no parameters in this one, but parameters in this one. Are they different? Yes, they are. And that's what matters. Now, what I might try to do to you guys is I would probably do something like this. Okay, obviously you wouldn't see any errors, okay? Obviously you wouldn't see any red lines or anything like that, but is there, what's it called? Is there an error right there? Okay, or what you guys would see is you guys, oh, okay, what is double and int? What are those?
Return types?
Return types. In my instruction of method overloading, have I once said, oh, same name, different parameters, and the return type? Have I ever even mentioned it? No. Okay. So some of you might get confused with this. This is still wrong. Okay. All that matters, all that matters is are the parameters different? You'll notice also that it's the same rule that applies for an overloaded constructor. The default constructor has no parameters. The overloaded one is the one that has parameters. Okay.
So if we just wanted to call on that method, we would have to create another object in the tester just separately and then just say x1 dot mult ID.
Well, right now they're already created here. So all I would have to do is I would just have to say mult ID. And right now, notice that it automatically pops up. Which one do I want to use? I'll just use the default one. Okay. It's all 7. It's all 21 because I put in 7. So it's going to take the ID and multiply it by 3. But if I put 12, now it's going to multiply it by 84. And notice that it's a double because my return type is a double. Can I, and also some of you just say this .id and username are both ints. Can I put ints into a double? Yes, I can. Does that help, Armand?
But technically, couldn't you make another object if you wanted to? Like just
You can, if you wanted to.
okay. I didn't know. I just wanted to make sure you
I'll tell
could
you
do-
this, it's very rare. First of all, you're not even gonna have to worry about the tester class, but more often than not, like, yeah. Okay, just remember, and also remember, guys, that the parameters can be anything. Okay, the parameters can be anything. All right.
That helped though.
So what's that?
That helped. Yeah.
Okay. Because what we're going to be doing in our next stuff, when we start talking about inheritance and stuff like that, because the inheritance test is going to come really fast. So you're going to have this test. Inheritance is probably going to come the week before Thanksgiving. Okay. A quick question, by the way, are any of you doing anything for Thanksgiving that week? Is anyone going to be gone?
I'm going to be gone like one day before our break.
I will probably be gone too. I'll probably be gone the Tuesday or Wednesday, either the Wednesday or the Tuesday and Wednesday before. Okay, but I probably will be gone also traveling.
We're off on Wednesday. We're off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then it's just Monday, Tuesday.
And there's a good chance I'll probably be gone Tuesday. Okay, where are you going, Kennedy?
I'm going to Baltimore.
Oh, that's right. You're a Baltimore girl. That's right. I forgot about that. Are they playing games in their stadium? Are they allowing fans?
They're allowing select fans who've had memberships for X amount of years. So we're gonna go to the Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's so weak. Oh, Kennedy, you got to get me a souvenir. I'm gonna bug you. You have to get me a souvenir, okay? Maybe like a little mini ball. I'll pay you for it, but you gotta give me like a little. I collect sports memorabilia. You gotta give me like a little mini Baltimore football or something like that. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. Anybody else going anywhere? ISIS is probably just gonna run around the block a bunch of times, make it feel like it was a big trip.
Are we gonna need to be really familiar with compare to and ASCII?
Nope, not yet. We will get compared to an ASCII. We will get into when I start teaching you inheritance. Okay.
So
Again, it was one of those topics I wanted to introduce you to, but you don't really need to be aware of it. Okay, anyone? All right, guys. So again, 5 multiple choice questions, 1 test. Again, you guys should be all caught up. I'm going to try to use tonight to do your homework. The key thing with like the homeworks that I'm assigning now, I'm trying to go through and see where the errors are made give you a little bit more comments here and there. But I will also I'm trying to call pro profs to see if I can, like, as soon as I'm done, if I can just send a batch report of all the reports to you guys to each individual email address. Right now, I have to literally go 1 email, full report, send email. So I have to do that 30 times. So I'm going to see if there's a way that I can just do it all at once. So, all right. Okay. So that's it. Are we sure, guys? We have 10 more minutes. You guys sure? Otherwise, I have no problem cutting it short, but just letting you know, it's your time. If you guys want to, I'm going to put this video online as well for the topic session so you guys can see it. Yeah.
Is there any website besides CodingBat that you think is good practice for us?
Let me see. There used to be one that was really good. Is it still around? Yeah, here we go. Let me see. Do they have my stuff? Because I think I told you guys I used to teach at the University of Washington. This one. Okay, take a look at this. Okay, this would help. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Okay, and this one, it's like but here's the thing you got to understand. It's like it's so like they go into so many different things and stuff like that. I remember working on, and there's questions and stuff like that are really, really good that can help. here we go. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to share this one with you guys right now. Okay. There is a website here, this one. Okay. Practice.it. So it's a computer science department at University of Washington. Okay. And if you go to build Java programs, okay, introduction to Java programming, primitive data and definitive loop or definite loops, parameters. Don't worry about graphics, conditional execution. You basically have, these are all multiple. So what is object-oriented programming? And these are all questions that ask you that you can literally study for. Okay. So for example, let's say arrays, data array. Write code that creates an array of integers named data of size 5 containing the following content. So you can basically say, well, obviously, so you have to log in, create a username, but this one will tell you exactly what you're doing right or wrong. This is a great program, okay? And if you guys ever have questions on these, you guys can just say, hey, it's this question. Can you go over it? And I'll probably know the answer, know how to do it because I am a genius. But other than that, okay, thank you, Vasily. Thank you. At least I got someone to laugh. So, all right, practice.it. Again, hold on. Boom. Okay, so I just put it in the link, and I'll probably send this out to everybody as well. Probably, just as a heads up, as another study tool. Okay, so building Java programs 4th edition. Don't do the 5th edition.
Are the multiple choice going to be yours or AP?
Mine. But I am thinking of sprinkling in 1 or 2 as like after the free response as bonus points. Okay. Do you think that's fair? Do you think I should do that? What does Allie think? Never mind. Thank you for paying attention, Allie. All right. Okay, guys. All right. Guys, I've given you enough resources. Good luck tomorrow. Don't overthink it. Like I said, you guys have been doing great. Solidify your basics, practice some problems, and just, and I think you're going to be okay. All right.
Mr. Marty,
Oi,
can I ask one quick question?
does it involve Germany?
It might.
Okay.
Whenever we're returning an array inside of a method that has a string array return type, why don't we do return like X with the brackets? Why don't we do that? Why
Because you already know what the array name is. So the minute that the brackets are part of the declaration.
Okay.
So for example, if you're returning an int, it would be more like it's part of the signature of the declaration. So it would be like you're trying to say return int p. You don't do that. We already know because you declared p to be an integer, just return p. So when that bracket is just another attachment to the signature. So string array X, and then you initialize and put everything in it. Well, we know X is the array. When you're identifying individual elements, you have to use the brackets.
Okay.
But for the most part, we know what you're talking about, array X.
Okay.
Okay, does it make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Anything else? All right, good luck. Have a great Wednesday night, guys, and I will see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.